My name is Dan Hamlin. I was a part of the UB Rotaract Club for a while with many close ties still. I'm from the central New York area. I came to UB in 2014 to go to college there, and I got my degree, got my master's degree from UB in environmental and water resources engineering. So I'm done with the college scene now, off in the working world, but still happy to answer any questions about this transition to getting into college and about Rotaract, and happy to be here today. I just sent Rebecca a message to see where she's at regarding her connection and stuff. Haven't heard from her yet, though.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sorry, I'm having to walk away from my culinary creation. My name is An Artis. I am originally from Lockport, New York, but I am currently escaping coronavirus here in Birmingham, Alabama. I initially started schooling at Wabash College in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and then I finished my first year of law school at Savannah Law School in Savannah, Georgia, but I ended up transferring and finished my law degree at the University at Buffalo School of Law, where I met Matthew, I met Dan, I met Evan, and Larry through Rotaract. So yeah, just here to answer any questions about, college, career, the legal pathway, et cetera, et cetera. So if I can be of help, let me know.
Nina, do you want to call in here with us?
Can you hear me?
Yep, cool.
Hi, I'm Nina Zalella. I'm a junior at Niagara University. I was an exchange student through Rotary, and I'm just kind of going through the process of starting a Rotaract. So that's my connections.
And Rob, can you introduce yourself as well?
Thanks, Matt. Hello, everybody. My name's Rob Nagy. I'm actually from Brantford, Ontario, Canada, so I'm not sure how many other Canadians we've got on the call, but welcome, everybody. I'm actually the incoming Director of Youth Services Programming for District 7090, which is the Rotary district that we all live in. So Sherry asked me if I could come on the call and just provide a little bit of insight into some of the other programs that are available. So as Larry said, I'm going to be kind of not speaking too much. I'm going to be a fly on the wall, but I will provide some input. And if you have any questions that need to be answered, I can definitely jump in and do whatever Matt and Dan and Sherry and can answer. So thanks for having me on the call.
So I don't know what's going on with Rebecca. I wonder if she'd drop off and then try again, if somebody could reach out to her. But I put together a poll. You've learned a little bit about our Rotaractors, and they'd like to know a little bit about you. So this is the first time I've launched a Zoom poll, so hopefully this works. If anybody can't see it, let me know if I've shared it. So we'll give you about 30 seconds. So nice to see that we've got some Niagara Community College, University of Buffalo, and even if you're going out of state or out of the area, there are Rotaract clubs everywhere. I just read a statistic today that there are more Rotary clubs than McDonald's hamburger joints. Okay, I'll end that poll. So that gives us an idea of where you're heading. And and when. So majority looks like they're headed there this fall. So Matt, do you want to say anything more or turn over for questions for our audience?
Yeah, Dan, do you want to start with what we had planned?
Absolutely. I'm going to just start off with a quick 2-minute spiel about Rotaract, just for anyone on the call who maybe isn't familiar with Rotaract yet, or just kind of starting to learn about it, and maybe you've heard about it and not, don't have the full background. So Rotaract started in 1968, and the reason why it started was once upon a time, Rotary had an age limit for who could join the club. So Rotaract was started to give young adults an opportunity to get involved in service like a Rotaract club, but not, or like a Rotary club, but not. So Rotaract has been around since 1968. So it celebrated 50 years a couple years ago. And while there is now no longer an age requirement for Rotary, it still is an independent sort of, I guess, Rotary arm, if you will, for allowing young people to get involved in service. One of the biggest reasons why it still sticks around, even though like technically people who are 18 years old could join a Rotary club, one of the biggest reasons why they stick with Rotaract is, number one, it's pretty developed. There's a lot of Rotaract clubs, a lot of cool things to join. And number two is Rotaract takes a lot of the minutia and the structure and the requirements of Rotary, and it chucks that out and makes it a streamlined and easier process for young people to skip right to service and getting involved with making a difference in their community. So as far as like what Rotaract clubs look like, you have lots of clubs that range in different sizes, from very small to very large. Some are at colleges and universities, and some are out in the community. And they also range in size as far as what they really accomplish and how much money they use and all that kind of stuff. So you have small clubs like college clubs, which bring in a couple $100s a year, do some small but amazing projects in their area. And you have bigger Rotaract clubs that bring in thousands and thousands of dollars and have grants and foundations and stuff like that. So you get the whole spectrum, but it's really a platform that's meant for you to do service in your community. So that's essentially what Rotaract is. And I'm now going to pass it off to Rebecca, because it looks like she's on. So she can introduce herself now and tell you some about the opportunities that you can go after in Rotaract.
Hi, thanks, Dan. Sorry I'm late. Yeah, so for Rotaract, there's a lot of different opportunities that are available. So first, you can be a part of your club leadership team, similar to, I'm sure, in your Interact, but there's also on the district level opportunities. So Dan is the outgoing district Rotaract representative, and I'm the incoming district Rotaract representative. So through that, you're able to represent all of the Rotaractors and Rotaract clubs in the committee on a district level. And then we also have the district Rotaract committee, which is made up of Rotarians and Rotaractors, and is co-chaired by the district Rotaract representative and the Rotaract chair. And then there's also things like RYLA, which is where I actually got my start in Rotary. And it's an awesome opportunity. It's a week long, and it provides you with some awesome leadership opportunities. And you're also able to meet some other awesome people. And yeah.
So I'll take it from there on. We had prepared a little bit to talk about how to find a club or how to start a club. So we'll start off with how to find a club. I'm going to share my screen here. Awesome. Can everyone see it? Give me a thumbs up. Awesome. All right, so quick Google search, Rotary Club Finder. First link is called the Club Finder. And here, it's a little bit clunky, but just punch in your location, distance, and then click Rotaract Club and search. Now, it's not super well updated all the time, but here's probably the best place to start. So here you'll see University of Buffalo and when it meets or when it used to meet to be updated. And Buff State is here as well. So we'll be working with the new clubs that are coming in to get them on this map as well. Because for me, this is the first place that I look. Right now I'm in Boulder, Colorado, and let's see if the clubs around there are here, but this is where I start. But then also, yep, awesome. That's our club. So that's one way to look. And then another way to look is just Google, Facebook, whatever, Rotaract Club, University of Buffalo, Rotaract Club, University of Colorado Boulder, whatever, or just the town or city name. And if it exists, that's kind of the way you'll find it. There's not really one tried and true way of finding a Rotaract Club. Now, the second option, you've asked the Rotary clubs in your area if there's any Rotaract clubs. There aren't. You're still interested. You want to start a club. That's definitely a possibility too. I won't get into it too much, but I founded the Rotaract Club at University of Buffalo. Dan was integral at the beginning of that club as well. Reach out to us, and we'll talk you through it. And help support any new clubs that we can in any way possible. And with that, Rob, would you mind talking about other opportunities for people in high school or graduating high school within Rotary?
Absolutely. I just saw, though, that Sherry did pose a question to you. Did you want to maybe field that question first? It's, can you tell us more about the Rotaract E-Club in the area?
Sure.
You want to talk about that now?
Yeah, so I am aware of there's a Rotaract E-Club in the area, and basically the way E-Clubs work is instead of meeting in person and doing in-person events all the time, you meet online, and they have ways of doing projects remotely, and then they have ways of doing projects together. So there's Rotaract clubs that meet as like E-clubs, and there's Rotary clubs as well. So I'm looking actually into the Rotary E-Club of WASH, which is Water and Sanitation. So this E-Club the Rotaract E-Club in our district was founded, I think, 2 or 3 years back. And that's basically how they operate. So if you're in an area that doesn't have a Rotaract club nearby and you're not looking to start one, feel free to reach out to us. We'll put you in contact with them, and that's an awesome way to get involved as well, especially if you travel a lot. Rob, I'll pass it back to you.
Great. So I just want to say on behalf of the Rotary District, it's very exciting to see everybody on the call today. It's great that there is interest from you folks to want to give back and get involved. So I just want to say thank you. This definitely is great steps that you're taking in your life with Rotary and Rotaract and all that sort of stuff. So thank you so much for being here and your interests. So I'll just speak about a couple of the other programs that are offered that go hand in hand with Rotaract and Rotary and Interact, all of it. Larry Kuhn, if you haven't heard him say this, once you enter one program of Rotary, you are part of the Rotary family. So we're very passionate about every program that we offer, because every program that's offered has some sort of value. So every program that's offered is offered for a reason. Rebecca mentioned a program called RYLA. There's a program that is actually before RYLA called SlapShot. So RYLA and SlapShot used to be the same program offered for students between the ages of 15 and 27. What Rotary found out was, well, people 15 to 18 have different things going on in their life and have different questions and have different things to talk about than people 19 to 27. So what we did is in our district, District 7090 is the only Rotary district in the world that actually has a program called SlapShot, and it's available for students that are 15 to 18 years old. And what this does is it's a weekend in, currently right now it's in Ancaster, Ontario on the Canadian side of the border. And the program is a weekend where 100 students from our district come together for a weekend of leadership training, bunch of different skills. There's a bunch of different events that happen. It's basically a weekend where you go to the program knowing nothing, but you want to do good. You want to find out how you can build on interpersonal skills. You can build on leadership skills. And you spend a weekend with 199 other students, and you do stuff you never would have thought you would do. You grow as a person. You learn things about yourself that you never thought you would before. And I'll tell you one thing, a lot of the students don't really know what to expect when they arrive at the camp on the Friday, but on the Sunday, no one wants to go home. So it's an incredibly powerful program. And I encourage anyone who's 15 to 18, and we probably have closer to 17, 18-year-olds on this call, but definitely if you're interested in that type of thing, that's a fabulous program. After that, there's also the Rotary short-term exchange program and long-term exchange program. And the cool thing about those programs are the short-term exchange program, if you apply for it, you're basically gone to another country for a month at a time in the summertime. And then a student comes from where you are back to your house for another month. So it's a short-term exchange program where if you don't really want to go away for a year, but you do want to see another country and learn another culture, the short-term exchange program is perfect for that. Then there's the long-term exchange program. The long-term exchange program is you spend a year of your life in another country. So you're basically trading 1 year right now of your high school career to basically go to another country, spend a year in a high school in another country, and it's where you learn all about life skills and living in another country, and you get that entire diversity side of things. And that program is very impactful because you learn, again, so much about yourself that you never thought you had in you. Your personality adapts and changes. You build a network of friendships from around the world, because say you go to Hungary, well, there's probably going to be 50 other exchange students from around the world that have gone to Hungary. So the long-term exchange program is super neat. I definitely encourage anyone, again, you can't be 19 years old on the plane when you're leaving on the exchange. So you can do the exchange as long as before you get on the plane, you're still 18 years old. So that's an awesome program to look into if you want to basically trade a year of your life to gain life experience. Outside of that, Rebecca did touch on RYLA. RYLA is the same type of thing. If you're the club that you're associated with doesn't fully sponsor RYLA, but you're interested in RYLA, Rotarians can find another club to sponsor you. So what RYLA is it's a week where you go, and this is on the state side of the border in Fredonia. You spend a week of your life learning about yourself, building your leadership skills. You spend that time with 40 other students, or well, young adults that I mean, Matt and Rebecca, they can speak to it more because they've been in it, but it's a life-changing experience. Super cool, all paid for by Rotary. There is another program on the Canadian side of the border. I'm not sure if there are any Canadian students on this call, but if there is, there's a program that we call Adventures in Citizenship. It's for 15 to 18-year-olds. You spend basically a week in Ottawa, which is where our parliament is, and you learn all about politics and what it's like to be in the council chambers and all that sort of thing. You tour a lot of Ottawa, super cool. But on the other side of things, there are, if you're headed to university or college, there are Rotary scholarships that you can apply for. So if you're going to university come the fall, definitely reach out to people in your area and ask them about, hey, I'm going to University of Buffalo. I heard there's a scholarship. What's it about? How do I apply? And then I'll just end off by saying, and Larry can really chime in on this. I know he doesn't want to talk, but everything in Rotary is family. So interact clubs in high schools, basically that's Rotary in the high school level. So it's a service club in high school that you probably know what it is, but it's basically the high school version of Rotary. Then there's Rotaract, which is college, university, and then there's all these other programs. But no matter what you do, no matter if it's a weekend, a week, or a full program starting your own Rotaract chapter, you're all part of the Rotary family. So on behalf of the district, thank you. And if you guys have any questions that I can answer throughout the rest of this call, just ask, but I will shut up now and I'll let you guys talk.
So there were a couple of questions posted in the chat that did get answered, but maybe not everybody is watching the chat. So one of the questions was the age group for exchange is 15 to 18, depending on the country that you're interested in going to. Some require 16. Let's see, what else was there?
Yes, I'll just jump in on that for a second. It's 15 to 18 and you can't be 19 when you get on the plane to leave. But to Sherry's point, there's certain countries that are looking to only take in a 16-year-old student. And that's because the way their culture works, an 18-year-old student would just not fit in very well to that area in the world. So definitely short-term and long-term is 15 to 18. You just can't be 19 when you got on the plane.
Do we have any questions? Let me unmute our participants so they can ask. So I've unmuted you from a host perspective, but it looks like everybody muted themselves. So you'll have to unmute yourself if you've got a question to raise.
While people are thinking of a question here, let me follow up with something that Rob said, made me think about it. You know, he mentioned the Rotary family, and that really is true. I mean, it really is a worldwide network of people that support each other. I was traveling at one point I was traveling in Tanzania doing some work, not really doing some work, but supported by Rotary. I was learning a lot about the water and sanitation situation in Tanzania. And while I was there, you know, all the Rotary connections came out. Everybody knows somebody, and I was introduced to a bunch of people. And what I ended up doing is I ended up staying an extra week in Dar es Salaam, which is like the biggest city of Tanzania, just hanging out with Rotaractors, like people that I'd never met before, but we were part of the same crew because of Rotaract. And so all we needed was like a quick introduction, and like there we were, just like partying and hanging out together and just like learning from each other's experiences. And like, I can't think of another parallel that I've experienced in my life where it's just that easy to meet people and become friends with people in any corner of the world. So now wherever I go, I mean, like I moved out of Buffalo to Boulder, Colorado. First thing I did when I came to visit here is like look up the Rotaract Club in Boulder and just message them on Facebook. And there I was, like first weekend moving here, you know, I already knew people, and knew that we were part of the same community. And they did what they can to help me out and integrate. And I would do the same with anyone else coming to visit or coming to move to wherever I am. And I think that's a pretty typical thing among this group.
During the poll, I noticed there were a few of you that are headed to UB. The incoming president is Isabel Yu, and I put her email address in the chat if you want to reach out to her. She couldn't make it to this meeting. And also I had the Buff State contacts. Emily Lewis is president there. I know that NCCC has been trying to get a club started. So I don't have a contact, and maybe if you're interested, we can get back to you. Just let us know if you are.
So actually, I can speak to NCCC because NU and NTRIP are trying to create like a combined club. So if you want, and if you are interested in NCCC Rotaract, then just email me. I can put my email into the chat.
Great, Nina. Thank you.
Yeah, I was one of the ones Mr. Kuhn said to reach out to you because I'm starting there in the fall. So
Yeah, I can't wait. It's been really difficult. We tried to get some stuff going last semester, but unfortunately it got canceled because of everything shutting down. But yeah, if you want to join, I would love for you to join us.
And a perfect example of Rotary connects the world.
And going off what Matt was saying too, like our district is also like a cross-border, like I didn't say at the beginning, but I'm from Canada, so I'm part of the Brock Niagara Rotaract, and like I have some of like really close friends now in the States, like Dan and Matt, that I met through Rotary, and like I definitely wouldn't have met any of them if like it wasn't for Rotary and through RYLA. So it's just kind of cool how you can have like friends just across the border that like I never would have met otherwise. And that's just like, I know Matt was talking about the, you know, more like international, well, I guess it is international, but this is like right in our own district. You can meet people from like a different, like Canada, or yeah, Canada for you guys, so.
Yeah. And if you have younger siblings, SlapShot is a great program. So have we just about exhausted the questions?
Come on, there's more questions out there. When I was graduating high school, which to you might seem like forever ago, 2013, but kind of feels like yesterday, I definitely had a ton of questions. So we're here. If you're more comfortable asking us outside of the call, feel free. We'll dump our email addresses out. But really, I mean, ask us anything. Like, we're here for you. So
Even if it's just like advice that I'd give my first year self, like even if it's just like university or college related, like we can answer those too.
Yeah, I just say we're all on this call. So what would be a reason why you logged on to this call? Because there's some really good resources on this call that you can confide into. So why did we hop on this call? Maybe start there.
I think Larry just learned how to use Zoom questions.
Yes.
Larry asks to the crew, what if I don't get along with my roommate? Yeah, so I can speak to that a little bit. I never had like any massive fights with any roommates of mine, but I was a resident advisor for a couple years, and that's a miserable job. Please respect your RAs. So I think the biggest thing is communication there. Don't let things kind of build up before you talk about them. Talk to your roommates pretty regularly. Like set roommate meetings like once a month. If there's nothing to talk about, then just grab some food and drink a beer or drink a non-alcoholic beverage for the minors. And like you don't need to talk about anything, but definitely communication is key.
Yeah, I'll agree to that. And definitely, if your roommate has a habit of leaving his food out and you find that absolutely disgusting, talk to them about it and don't spray Febreze onto their food after they left it out so that they eat it later on, because that is not nice and that's not something you should do. But it solved the problem, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
That is definitely not four-way test material.
No, it was before I joined Rotary, and I learned the way.
Also, in relation to that, I live at home, but I worked with off-campus living, so I dealt with a lot of roommate issues, and I think most of them came from, as like Matt was saying, like communication. And if like you're really worried about there being an issue, like right at the beginning, be like, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page with some things, like even down to like temperature wise, like some people had like, their roommate liked it cold and they liked it hot. Like communications is huge, and just like from the beginning, like outwardly saying what like your concerns are, and then that way it's like it's out of the way.
Yeah, that really gives me a flashback to the 70s. Don't expect the person to be your best friend. Just, try to get along, communicate is a really good recommendation.
I see on the chat, I want to answer this question because it is critically important. Should I wait to buy books until classes start? I saw something that said sometimes you don't need to buy the books. They say you need. Betty, great question. 100% correct. Ask your professors if you should actually get the book on the first day of class and go with it from there. Another thing is try to buy the book online so that way you can get a much cheaper deal on a reused book. Or it maybe, kind of feel it out. Maybe sometimes renting a textbook will save you a lot of money versus buying it outright if you absolutely need it. Totally recommend that. Yes, don't buy the textbooks until you're sure you need it, and then get the cheapest price possible, because that's just ridiculous.
If you could get
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Nina.
I just saw the how can you get cheap and usable college books. Sometimes the library actually provides you college books, and a lot of professors will let you share a book if it's not like needed during exams and stuff. So I would honestly 100% do that. I've gotten all my books online. It kind of, if you're like me who needs to write things down, it gets a little bit annoying, but it's so much cheaper than buying them hardcover.
Some places also have like Facebook groups. Like I know at my university, we have a Facebook like group where people go to like sell their used textbooks. So you can get it from like someone who had done it like the year before, which is like usually they sell it at a reduced price there too.
Also check old versions of the textbook. Usually ask your professor if that's okay. Most of them are fine with it. I had a structural engineering professor that told us that structural engineering hasn't changed in 200 years, but there's a new textbook every year. So don't worry, get the old one. And that is true in a lot of cases. Also, PDF textbooks. If you're planning to do a lot of traveling, like me, I can't really take all of my textbooks overseas every time I hop on over. PDF textbooks are awesome and cheap.
There's a question from Amanda. She said, do you have any good suggestions for staying organized? Organization for me is like huge. So I'm in nursing and can be like a lot at sometimes. So what I do is when I get my syllabus at the beginning of the term, so it has like all my readings, all my assignments, when everything's due, I get all my syllabuses from all my classes and I have an agenda because I personally like a physical agenda, and I color code each of my classes and write throughout like each week what, yep, there's Dan's there, and I go through and write through like each week what readings I have to do, what assignments are due. Like if I have a test the next week, I'll write it a week before. So, and it's all color coded. So one color represents like each class, and it's really good because you can look at like, even if I don't end up writing stuff throughout the term, it's more of a reference that I don't have to keep going and I know what's coming up ahead of time. So that's kind of what I suggest, because staying organized is definitely something that helped me in my first year to not be as crazy as it is. So
another thing that I did that really worked for me is every semester I bought one notebook for each class. And the way I took notes was I would write, obviously the notebook would be dedicated to that class, and then every day I'd have class, I'd write the date at the top of it. And I would, I developed good note-taking skills and took good notes, which is something you just have to practice and you'll get better at over time. But then what I ended up doing was I would write bullet points at the top of the page in like that 2-inch space between where the note lines are and the top of the pages. I would write little bullet points of the subjects we covered in class that day. So then at the end of the semester, when I needed to go study, I would just be like, oh, where did we study blank equation? Oh, there's the equation. Okay, let me check my notes and see what we went over and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a cop-out, but the fun part about college, I guess, is that you get to figure out whatever way you learn best, whether that be printing out slides and having visuals, or like for me, it's writing out notes by hand is what is big for me. So don't be afraid to play around and stuff like that and try and figure out something that works best for you.
A similar note to what Dan says, I have a master notebook that, like, this one's for my research, but every semester I've got one of these, tab it out, do what you got to do. And then, like Dan said, you got dates at the top, the different subjects, and just punch everything. Like one of these guys, the really nice ones, is $30. Just get one and it's with you. Put everything on paper and for me, put everything on paper and have everything in one spot. The last thing you need is like the pile of papers that just starts accumulating, because you'll never go through that and you'll never find the stuff you need.
Yeah, for me, I have my notes online, although like I do have a pen, so it does write, but with keeping stuff like in one place, I have like through my file folder, I have like my year and then each class, and then within the class I have like lecture notes and then like my notes and other resources that you may need, and just keeping things really organized is really helpful when it comes to like university, because then like if you're already stressing about an assignment and then you can't find something, then you're just gonna stress some more. So it just like helps like get rid of that stress before it's even there.
Organize your computer files. This is the one thing that I do that I feel like not a lot of people do. Organize them, and then like it was a lifesaver. My professor needed an assignment right at the end of the semester and I didn't know if I had it, but I went right in and it's right there. So like name them something smart. Don't just name it essay 1, essay 2. Name them, organize the files into semesters, into classes, whatever works.
Amen to that.
Well, we're about 45 minutes into this call. I'm curious to see if you find this valuable. And what we can do as a follow-up. What would you like to get as a follow-up? You can put it on the chat if you don't want to speak up. So if I could see your faces, I would say thumbs up, thumbs down, but
I guess I'll just throw out a suggestion. Would the high schoolers going into college be interested in, I guess, maybe some type of group chat or some type of email chain where, I mean, you're not going to have questions until you have questions. So like day one of college and stuff, if you have questions, like you can just shoot a message or you can send an email out or something like that. If you want us to set something up like that, we could definitely do it. And then you can ask questions or something like that when you find out when you're getting into it.
For sure. I want to say that, like what Dan said, I'm completely on board for that. I know it's super awkward to have like, ask questions in a group of people that you don't know, but like we're on your side. So come August, September, you got a question, you don't know who to ask to, don't worry, just reach out to us. You have our email addresses. Any one of us or all of us will try to help you out.
yeah, I did send out the email addresses, and assuming that Larry forwarded the email I composed, it included your contacts. Okay, unless we've got anything else.
I do have something, sorry. Larry brought it up in the chat there. We also, for the first time in District 7090, launched our first ever youth conference. So Rotary International has conferences once a year, and they're always in elaborate countries, and Rotarians go and do a lot of building and team building and personal building and meet people and that sort of thing. So what we decided to do last year was launch the first ever youth conference in the district. And so 1 year in, and my opinion is quite successful. So in Rotary, we do consider youth from 3 years old to 25 to 27. That's still youth. So with that being said, it's typically in the fall. It's in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, here in Canada. And it's just 1 day, but there are breakout sessions that you attend. You get to pick just like college, university, you get to pick, okay, this interests me, I want to hear all about it. So you go into breakout sessions for 45 minutes. You pick a few of those to do. And then you get to hear from any like foreign exchange students we do a big thing called the Big Think Project, and then you get to hear about those presentations. It's a lot of fun. And again, you meet people that you probably never thought you would have met, and you build personal relationships with them that you can have last forever. So it's a really cool thing. We're only 1 year in, so hopefully, pandemic aside, hopefully come the fall, we will be able to do another youth conference. But it's definitely worth keeping on your radar in the back of your mind. Rob said something about a youth conference. Let me talk to Matt, because I remember Matt, let me reach out to him and find out more information. It's a great day, and we encourage everyone to participate. And again, you can go and you don't have to say a single thing, or you can go and you can meet a whole bunch of people, talk as much as you want. It's open to everybody, and we encourage you to come. Larry, do you have anything to add vocally, actually? Larry, vocally?
You can only do one or the other.
Right. Well, anyway, also reach out to Larry. He's a wealth of information and he can talk to you a lot more about the youth conference.
Oh, we didn't mention Shark Tank. Yeah, Savio is asking about Shark Tank.
Right. Hey, Larry, do you want to speak to Shark Tank? If you
Sure
don't, I
can.
will, but
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Larry.
Thank you. I have to say, Savio won one of the Shark Tank competitions. It's actually a lot of fun, and it's different students putting together a presentation about a project that they want to complete, and they have to present it to a panel of past of district leadership people that make a decision on who gets the money to go forth and complete their service project. And it's a fantastic competition. Savio did a great job more than once. I think he's presented more than once up there. And it's actually Interact clubs at the high school level competing against Rotaract clubs at the college level. And there's actually a younger version called RYLA that's grade school is doing community service. So it's a real nice way to bring people together, give them some presentation skills, and to just explain a little bit why I'm in the weeds is that this whole thing was Sherry was our facilitator. It was her brainchild, and we thank her for that. Before we get off the line, we got to give a big thank you to Sherry for all her work. But the programming and the speaking and the planning that fell to as far as the content fell to Dan and Rebecca and Matthew. And so we thank them for their many hours of service that they've given us in the past. And Rebecca's just on board, and she's jumping right in with both feet. So a huge thank you to all three of them for their part in this. Great job. Great session today. I really loved it, and glad everybody made time for it. Many of them on short notice. So thank you. And stay in touch.
Thank you. So we do have some interest in the group chat, so I will provide those phone numbers to Rebecca? Okay, and she will help facilitate that connection with you.
Yeah. Before we wrap up too, I just want to say congratulations to all the graduates. I know you didn't quite get the ending of your high school year that I'm sure you thought of, but it's still a huge accomplishment, and you should be super proud and be super excited about like university, because it's a super fun experience, and take every opportunity that is thrown at you. So yeah.
Okay then, thank you very much for joining, and I very much appreciate the advisors who kind of marshaled people together to join. Goodbye.
Thanks,